yes, you should sell on TCG Player. There's a lot of debate on whether or not it's worth it. Is it better or worse than selling on your own website? Is it better or worse than eBay? Every method of selling stuff is fine. TCG Player is a great place to start selling cardboard. I understand right now they aren't onboarding new sellers, but if you were able to get in and you're still building and you're like still on the fence though about how seriously you want to take it, like go for it. In this video, I'm going to do a little comparison of like TCG Player versus your own website. And I'm going to explain why, yes, there are advantages to selling on your own website that you'll eventually want to pursue if you take this seriously and you scale this and build this and you want to do this for a long time. However, there's also some really great advantages that come specifically from selling on TCG Player that are great for starting out and just learning the trade, learning how to be an entrepreneur, learning the basic fundamentals of sales and customer service and reputation building and branding and all that. So yeah, there's a lot of good reasons to sell on TCG Player, and then there's going to be a lot of good reasons to push past TCG Player when the time comes. So I'm just going to dive into it. In my opinion, the primary advantage that TCG Player offers sellers of all levels is that they remove the friction and challenge of discovery, which is one of the most expensive parts of business. So in a traditional business where a marketplace like TCG Player doesn't exist, you have to pursue revenue by essentially 5 layers. The top layer is discovery. And in this layer, you've got paid ads, you've got all sorts of traditional marketing stuff, print market. It depends what business you're running, but it can be print ads, door hangers, postcards, newspaper ads. It can be digital ads on Facebook and Instagram. It can be SEO, content like this. There are all of these things that you must do if you want anybody to discover that you even exist in the first place. Then you have to do more of that stuff to nurture the relationship with those people, because people aren't going to really buy something from someone who they don't know, like, and trust. And so a lot of effort and money has to go into driving discovery and then building a relationship with these strangers before they ever even give you a chance to even like look and see what you have to offer them. Then you have to take them through some sort of conversion process where you educate them into the value of some sort of thing that you have for sale. You handle any objections or fears or anything that they might have about like, how do I know that it's for me? How do I know it's worth what I'm paying for it? How do I know that I'm going to be satisfied? Is there anything that you're going to do to protect me in case I don't like it? All of this stuff, the discovery, the nurture, the conversion, all of that is handled pretty much completely by TCG Player. And so that removes so much of the friction and the barriers to entry and the cost and the time and energy required to get a traditional business off the ground. And so in my opinion, this is the main reason why selling on TCG Player is a great idea, because it gives you a huge advantage, particularly if you're starting out. But it also is just this thing that you can have running on the side that requires less of your own capital and energy and time to operate in order to take advantage of the opportunities that exist inside of all this shiny cardboard that you are trying to move from your inventory into other people's hands in exchange for a little bit of their money. So that's the biggest thing. The alternative, we'll break down the alternative. So we'll juxtapose this against selling on your own website. If you are selling on your own website, you have to build a website. And that's going to take some work, especially if you're running an inventory of thousands and thousands and thousands of cards. It's going to take you a while. to build that website. It's going to take some energy unless you invest in certain tools that can make it faster. But even then, it's a pretty significant undertaking, particularly if you are a beginner. TCG Player removes all of that friction and all of that risk, because you have no idea if your cards are going to sell, but you're going to start paying money and spending time and taking on all this risk just to build a website in the first place, and your website might not even work right. And you're not going to know until you test it. But then once you have a website, you have no way of getting people to your website, or of like building the trust with them to get them to actually spend their money with you. And it's particularly when you're selling something that is a commodity like cards, you have to do a lot of work to build trust, because someone can go get them from somebody that they already know, like, and trust. So you have to do all that work. You have to create web pages that teach people about your business, about who you are, how you conduct yourself, what sort of history do you have, what sort of credentials do you have, how do they know that you're actually, especially in the age of AI, how do they know that you exist, that you actually have the cards that you're saying you have, that they're real, that you're actually going to ship them. All of these things that you have to prove, all these hurdles that you have to overcome just to even make a sale on the website that you spent all that time and money and effort building. Then you have to put all this time, money, and effort into building all that trust. Then you actually have to get the traffic to the website in the first place, which is going to require you to create and run a paid ad strategy or a content strategy or some combination of both. You're going to have to spend hundreds of hours making and distributing content, or thousands of dollars creating and distributing ads just to get the traffic to the website. And if you don't have enough trust building infrastructure in place, then you can spend tens of thousands of dollars on ads and not really make any sales, because you're not building the trust, or the website doesn't work and you didn't know it. All of these things can go wrong. All of these things are removed from the equation entirely in exchange for a little bit of a higher fee on your TCG Player sales. So when people complain about the fees on TCG Player, that's like the least frustrating thing about TCG Player, in my opinion. TCG Player, they have the sales tax infrastructure for you, so you don't have to get a sales tax permit and then track and pay sales tax to all of the states that you do business in. TCG Player just does all of that for you, which, when you see the other side and you see how much work you have to do just to pay taxes, you start to appreciate TCG Player taking that off your plate. And again, all of the effort that goes into content and ads, when the alternative is that you can just list stuff on TCG Player. You don't have to have photos. You don't have to really have anything. All you have to do is have the cards and add the quantities. That 10% is actually a pretty good deal. So that's the big thing, is just TCG Player eliminates a lot of the challenges that are present in building a business, and allows you to just focus on the actual revenue generating activity of listing cardboard and shipping the orders. And so it's perfect for a side hustle. And that's really what it's perfect for, is like a little side hustle on the side, make a little bit of money without having to do all of the hard work of really building a business. There are also a lot of tools that TCG Player provides you, and a lot of education and a lot of infrastructure that TCG Player provides you, that make the actual revenue generating activities, listing and shipping out inventory, a lot easier. TCG Player gives you the ability to collect and display reviews. TCG Player processes all the orders for you, collects all the addresses, has all this, and then just gives you the information of what you need to ship to whom on a platter. Just puts it right there for you. You don't have to put any effort into figuring out what goes where. They've got all this documentation on how you do it. They've got the protections in place for the buyer and protections in place for the seller. I think TCG Player's protection is a little bit underappreciated in a lot of ways. It's not perfect, but it's underappreciated. And there's a lot, particularly when you get to level 4, there's a lot of benefits and tools that become available to you that make the work easier. Being able to export and import CSVs to manage your inventory and do bulk pricing, mass pricing, list a lot of inventory, run reports. The reporting system is not super sophisticated, but it's more sophisticated than most people would be able to engineer in their first ever Shopify store build. So it's just another thing that, in my opinion, is underappreciated. And so, most particularly if you are starting out, like TCG Player, it really is just such a good deal because it gives you the tools to list inventory quickly and easily from the comfort of your bed, if you wanted to. And just so much work is taken off your plate, and the only difference is, for most people in the beginning stages, is that you pay those higher fees of like 13 to 15%. The calculus is a little bit different when you get more sophisticated and you have more infrastructure and you have more opportunity. The next bonus, I'll say, or the next benefit, I'll say, and reason why you should sell on TCG Player specifically, is that you get excellent liquidity on cards. Not everything is going to move super fast, but there is a buyer there is a buyer out there for everything that you can conceivably list on TCG Player, and the odds are pretty good that they've heard of TCG Player and that they're at least going to give it a chance as they are looking for the thing that they want to buy. And so this means that it is very, very low risk for you to go out and spend your work time acquiring and listing your inventory, because it's all probably going to sell eventually. The prices you're able to charge, overall are lower on TCG Player, but you can bring them up over time, as you expand your inventory. And because listing inventory is so easy, it's really easy to just start making money and to lay out like a foundation for a more scalable business by starting on TCG Player first. So a lot of people are dumping on TCG Player. A lot of people are hating on it, but it is a great set of tools that you can use to build and grow a cash flowing business that just reduce a lot of that complexity, remove a lot of that risk, and make it easy to quickly turn cardboard into cold, hard cash that you can actually use to pay your bills and to pursue your hobbies. So, in my opinion, there's a lot to love about TCG Player. Now, I don't think that this video will be complete without also talking about the disadvantages and what you gain by moving off of TCG Player. So I'll go into that next. I've touched on some of it. The constraints that TCG Player puts you under for rapid shipping, shipping within 2 days, responding to messages within 2 days, that you should do kind of no matter what, but shipping out within 2 days, instead of being able to set your own shipping cadence that works for you and your team. The tools overall aren't very sophisticated, and so if you get to where you're running a large inventory and you want to do really complex pricing rules and stuff like that, to really, you want to really customize how you go to market, which is how you take this stuff and list it on a marketplace in a way that people can browse it and buy it. there's not a ton of options, there are not a ton of tools in place to help you really make the most of the opportunities that exist inside of these little cardboard rectangles. And Shopify and Wix and these other e-commerce platforms are specifically built to allow you to maximize the financial opportunity that exists in your inventory. And so as you grow and scale and become more ambitious, you eventually are going to realize that TCG Player constrains you and keeps you from actually turning into a scalable business. It really is almost only suitable for a side hustle or for a supplementary income stream for a more sophisticated business infrastructure. So that's just something to keep in mind. It's a great platform, and it is probably the best place to start out as a seller. But it's not necessarily the place that you want to stay at forever, because you eventually will need tools that will allow you to take advantage of bigger and better opportunities than TCG Player provides you. The other thing I would say is that due to the platform culture, you're not able to sell, to leverage the power of price psychology to its greatest extent. And that means that overall, your ability to drive profits from your inventory is lower when you conduct the majority of your business on TCG Player, because TCG Player does not allow you to decommoditize the experience. You can't decommoditize the product. The product is what it is. You can decommoditize the experience of doing business with your business specifically. And that is what makes the difference between a low profit, low cash flowing business and a higher profit, more sustainable, higher cash flowing, scalable revenue stream and anti-fragile income source that can be part of a portfolio of endeavors that you own that build, generational wealth over a long period of time. If you want to scale and you want to build a big, serious business, TCG Player is not the place for that, because the tools are not sophisticated enough and the culture is not, for lack of a better word, is not sophisticated enough. It's a commodity marketplace where you sell commodity items at commodity prices, and that just is what it is. Also, you cannot, the restrictions on your ability to put branding and stuff in your packaging and the shipping restrictions are absolutely, ridiculous. Just the fact that you can't set your own threshold for like what is your base shipping rate and what is your free shipping. You can set a minimum shipping fee of $5 and then free shipping over $35. You can do that on your website, and that's like a totally reasonable way to conduct your business. And then you could ship everything with tracking, and then a lot of the risk that the TCG Player infrastructure forces you to take on, you could bypass that entirely by being able to afford to ship everything with tracking. Even if they just did what eBay does with the envelopes, that would help. But it's like, I think most customers would probably be okay with buying larger quantities of cards to make a higher shipping price more worthwhile if it was guaranteed that everything was always shipped like sleeved or like well protected in bubble mailers with with tracking. Like, I don't think almost any buyer is gonna be disappointed with receiving all of their trading cards in tracked packages. Like, I don't think, even if they have to pay more in shipping for it, I don't think any buyer is going to complain about every trading card order being shipped with tracking. And that's just not something that is possible for you to do profitably on the TCG Player platform. And so that's one of the main reasons, in my opinion, why in the long run you will want to move on to selling on your own website in particular, because even just selling on other platforms doesn't solve that problem. Selling on eBay, selling on whatever other platforms there are out there, you're going to run into the same problems, the same sort of constraints. You need to have, if you want to build a sustainable long-term business, you need to have control over the customer experience, over the profit margins that you're able to drive, over the risk level involved in conducting the business. And no marketplace really permits that. The fees also, once you build a strong enough discovery, nurture, and conversion infrastructure to actually drive a consistent cash flow through your own website, then that's where the fees start to become not necessarily worth paying anymore. Because once you build the infrastructure of content and advertising and all that, and build a brand and a reputation where you actually can get people to visit your website and spend hundreds of dollars with you multiple times, come back, that's where then it's like, okay, it's not really worth it to pay a higher percentage on transactions on a platform that gives me less protection and less control over the customer experience, when instead I can pay a lower fee per transaction and drive on average a higher average order value and sell things probably at higher prices and not lose money on shipping and not have packages go missing because everything's tracked. At a certain point, it becomes necessary to migrate from TCG Player to, really, from all marketplaces to your own website. And then there's other advantages that come from working with Shopify in particular. Some of the other web builders have also started rolling out this stuff as well, but it's integrations with other platforms. Shopify, I've been working with Shopify for years, not for this business, but as a marketing consultant, building websites for other businesses. I've worked with Shopify for years, and it is a spectacular platform, and it integrates seamlessly with Facebook and Instagram advertising and data tracking, with Google and YouTube advertising and data tracking. There's all sorts of really powerful apps built into it that allow you to build bundles that drive up the value, the amount of money that people are spending with you on average. Setting up subscriptions, allowing you to create bundles that you can send out on a regular basis and stuff like that. It's so much better, and it integrates so seamlessly with like YouTube monetization, where you can display your shop and the things that are in your store on your channel and on your videos. As a longtime musician, Shopify integrates with Spotify, and so I have been able to display my merch for my music on my Spotify artist profile, and so that's hugely helpful. Events, you can get it where you get events to display, and so there's just all this crossover and integration that is enabled by Shopify and the infrastructure that it provides you, that you can't do it on any other platform. So I think I've said enough on this for now. There's a lot of really tremendous advantages to starting on TCG Player. When you are small and you're getting started, there's almost I would say it's too risky, unless you are experienced and you have a lot of capital, I would say it is too risky for you to try to build your own website and start driving sales and building your business that way with content and paid ads and a website. I think that's too risky for most beginners and most people starting out in cardboard from scratch. And instead, I think that what most people should do when they're starting out is sell on TCG Player or eBay or both if you have the time to set up on both. Learn the fundamentals, start building a revenue base, then eventually invest that into an infrastructure that you own that you can de-risk and start building your own revenue funnel for with content and paid ads and stuff like that. But allow TCG Player to feed the machine that will actually build the wealth. That is my recommendation: is start on TCG Player, grow and scale to your own website. PokePastor TJ, he's a great example of exactly what that looks like, and I'm starting to do the same thing. I'm establishing a revenue floor on TCG Player, and soon, later this year, I am going to be launching Shopify as well, and my intention is to make Shopify my main platform. And so, the thing that I have to decide is, am I going to build infrastructure on eBay too, or am I just going to invest my energy and time and resources into building a more robust Shopify infrastructure and experience in combination with my revenue funnel of the content that I make, the ads that I'll be running, and so on. That's the decision I have to make, because both are going to require about the same amount of time and effort and energy, and the upside of Shopify is substantially higher than the upside of me taking my store and going and learning eBay. However, the downside of Shopify, the risk of Shopify, is higher than the risk of eBay. So that's the thing that I personally have to weigh, and that you, of course, will have to weigh. But also starting out, the risk of starting out on Shopify and everything is much higher, and the energy and everything required is much higher. Even though the upside is so much higher, the risk is so low. I mean, it's about as low as it can possibly get on TCG Player, and the amount of actual capital and energy required is about as low as it can possibly get starting out on TCG Player. So I say start on TCG Player, build that infrastructure, invest that into a scalable Shopify build, and then allow that to take your cardboard side hustle and turn it into a scalable enterprise that you own and operate for years. Good luck out there. Buy some of my shiny cardboard from me at www.getdkc.com.